War between the houses of David and Saul. Meanwhile, Abner, son of Ner, the commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and brought him over to Menahem. He made him king over Gilead, Ashuri, and Jezreel, and also over Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel. Ishbosheth, son of Saul, was 40 years old when he became king over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. The house of Judah, however, followed David. The length of time David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Abner, son of Ner, together with the men of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, left Mahanaim, and went to Gibeon. Joab, son of Zeruiah, and David's men went out and met them at the pool of Gibeon. One group sat down on one side of the pool and one group on the other side. Then Abner said to Joab, "Let's have some of the young men get up and fight hand to hand in front of us." "All right, let them do it," Joab said. So they stood up and were counted off, 12 men for Benjamin and Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and 12 for David. Then each man grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his dagger into his opponent's side, and they fell down together. So that place in Gibeon was called Helkath Hazarim. The battle that day was very fierce, and Abner and the men of Israel were defeated by David's men. The three sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Abishai, and Ashel. Now Ashel was as fleet-footed as a wild gazelle. He chased Abner, turning neither to the right nor to the left as he pursued him. Abner looked behind him and asked, "Is that you, Ashel?" "It is," he answered. Then Abner said to him, "Turn aside to the right or to the left. Take on one of the young men and strip him of his weapons." But Ashel would not stop chasing him. So this person was chasing after it was a person, probably a younger person, that was chasing after Abner and going after him because Abner was the one army leader. He was the one in charge. So this person was like, let me take this person out. I think I can take them out. And so Abner was warning him because maybe Ashel was quick, but there's also skill when it comes to combat. So let's see what happens. Let's continue to read. Again, Abner warned Ashel, "Stop chasing me. Why should I strike you down? How could I look your brother Joab in the face?" But Ashel refused to give up the pursuit. So Abner thrust the butt of his spear into Ashel's stomach, and the spear came out through his back. He fell there and died on the spot. And every man stopped when he came to the place where Ashel had fallen and died. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner, and as the sun was setting, they came to the hill of Ammah near Giah on the way to the wasteland of Gibeon. Then the men of Benjamin rallied behind Abner. They formed themselves into a group and took their stand on top of a hill. Abner called out to Joab, "Must the sword devour forever? Don't you realize that this will end in bitterness? How long before you order your men to stop pursuing their brothers?" Joab answered, "As surely as God lives, if you had not spoken, the men would have continued the pursuit of their brothers until morning." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the men came to a halt. They no longer pursued Israel, nor did they fight anymore. All that night, Abner and his men marched through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan, continued through the whole Bithron, and came to Mahanaim. Then Joab returned from pursuing Abner and assembled all his men. Besides Ashel, 19 of David's men were found missing, but David's men had killed 360 Benjamites who were with Abner. They took Ashel and buried him in his father's tomb at Bethlehem. Then Joab and his men marched all night and arrived at Hebron by daybreak. So it was kind of like a whose army's better. It was a contest. It was kind of like, let's see who is better. And as we can see, it looked like at first that Abner and his men, who were from Israel under the leadership of the kingship of Saul's son, were doing okay, but then come to find out here near the end, that they weren't doing okay. That actually Abner had only killed 19 of David's men, whereas David's men had killed hundreds, 360 to be exact. And so that says a lot right there. It says a lot when it comes to skill, when it comes to a lot of things. And so, but Abner did warn Ashel, but Ashel didn't really listen, because it seems like Abner didn't really want to kill his fellows. It was more like a tournament, or but kind of not, because people started dying. So what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?